Hello, everybody. This is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films, and we also watch our Hijack channel lose subscribers. I don't blame them. They don't want to be on what's on a Hijack site, and YouTube has taken their sweet-ass time to get back to me. I know it's slow. I've heard this from multiple people. They take forever, but it's bumming me out that I'm losing subscribers. So, anyways, here's the short animated film. The title was clipped, but I know it by heart. It's The Little Engine That Could. Enjoy.
And then stood perfectly still. Now, how was the train to cross the mountain and get her toys over there to the children? And what a wonderful load of toys the train was carrying. Rag dolls, paper dolls, China dolls, little cloth dogs with eyes, and celluloid cats, and white fur bunnies, and painted wooden horses, and Noah's Arks, and dolls' houses, and dolls' furniture, and rocking horses, and tops, and bats and balls, and wagons and carts. Were they all to stay there, packed away, useless? And the children on the other side of the mountain to go without them? As the little train stood there, hoping for help, along toward her came a great, strong engine, all finely cleaned up and black, with his number plate scoured and shining. He had just finished his work of pulling a fine long passenger train, and he was on his way back to the roundhouse now, puffing and blowing with pride. "Oh, big, big engine," cried the train. "Will you please take us over the mountain? Will you help us, help us, help us, help us?" But the big passenger engine puffed and snorted and blew off steam angrily. "It's not my business to pull such a little nobody as you," he roared. "I pull much finer trains than you." Ding dong. Puff, puff. Woo! Then he switched himself round on a sidetrack. He passed the poor little train of cars and soon left her helpless, far behind. But the little train of cars never stopped hoping that someone would come to help her. Pretty soon, there came along a smaller engine. He looked dingy and rusty and dusty, and he didn't puff at all. He just sighed and groaned, and grunted and rumbled and grumbled. But the little train called out to him, "Oh, engine, engine, will you please take us over the mountain? Our engine is broken down, and we're loaded with toys for the children on the other side. Will you help us, help us, help us?" Then the dingy, dusty, rusty engine groaned and grunted and rumbled and grumbled. "I never could pull you over the mountain. I haven't the strength. I never could. 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 I never could." Then he dragged himself round on the sidetrack. He passed the poor little train of cars and soon left her helpless, far behind. Still, the little train of cars never stopped hoping that someone would come to help her. After a long, long time, there came a little, small engine. It seemed quite useless to ask this little, small engine for help. Yet the little, small engine had such a bright and happy look, and she was humming and hurrying along, whistling and ringing her bell in the very liveliest fashion. So the little train cried out, "Little engine, could you take us over the mountain? Our engine is broken down, and we're loaded with toys for the children on the other side. Can you help us? Help us? Help us?" Now, the little small engine had never been far away from the freight yard, where she had spent all her days in switching. But she did not mean to let those children go without their toys, if she could possibly help it. So she answered, "I think I can. I think I can. I think I can." Then she came straight up to the train, caught hold of her, and began to tug and pull. Pretty soon, ding-dong, ding-dong, puff, 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 chuck, chuck, chuck. The train of cars began to move. Slowly, slowly. And the little small engine, as she toiled, kept puffing, "I think I can. I think I can." Slowly, steadily, she gained speed. "I think I can. I think I can. I think I can." Now she ran steadily up the track. "I think I can. I 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 think I can." At last she reached the top of the mountain. And then she puffed out joyously, "I thought I could." There below on the other side lay a great big city, the city where the children lived to whom she was carrying the toys. Down she started, rolling faster, 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 and as she went she sang merrily, "I thought I could, I thought I could. I 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 thought I could, I thought I could." And so the children got their toys. And they learned one important lesson from the little engine. There are many things that we can do if only we would try. If only we would say, "I think I can."
Those uppity big trains. There's a lesson to be learned here, of course. The moral of the story, of course, is tenacity. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is be tenacious and be patient. Nothing works as quickly as I had hoped, but, you know, Egypt wasn't built in a day.
The Middle East, burning miles of windswept desert, Bedouin who trek silently across the sands as they have for centuries, a hot, arid, inhospitable land, except where there is water, on an occasional oasis in the fertile river valleys. Along the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates, down the mountains of Lebanon, and along the river Nile, runs a crescent of fertile soil. It was in this area some 5,000 years ago that the first great civilizations were born. One of the earliest was that which grew up along the banks of the Nile in Egypt. Thousands of years ago, Egypt was a land of swamps and marshes, a wild region inhabited by crocodiles, hippopotami, and other species of game. Today, the people of the Upper Nile still live much in the same way as did those of prehistoric Egypt. Like the Dinka people of today, who live along the Nile in the Sudan, the early Egyptians hunted and fished, traveled the river in canoes made from marsh reeds. In their fields, they cultivated crops. They herded cattle, living in widely scattered tribal units. The lives of these people were completely dependent upon the waters of the Nile. But each year, swelled by the rains, the waters rose, flooding their fields, destroying their homes, and threateningly highly productive. But conditions were hard. If this fertile region was to be permanent, the destructive power of the Nile had first to be mastered. In time, even as they do today, the early Egyptians learned to dig dikes and canals to protect their homes. Spurred by the need for cooperation in the great task of mastering the Nile, the primitive tribes of Egypt began to unite. This unification was highly significant, for now, with their combined energy organized by a single powerful ruler, many things impossible before could be achieved. With a food supply virtually assured, the united people of Egypt were ready to develop in many directions. The pyramids were the first great landmarks in the story of civilization, built nearly 5,000 years ago. The first buildings in the world made entirely of stone, the pyramids symbolize the turning point between primitive tribal existence and the organized social life that we call civilization. Writing, it has been said, marked the beginning of civilization. Hieroglyphic, or picture writing, was the earliest form of Egyptian script developed, written on stone or plaster. Soon, from the stem of the papyrus reed, the Egyptians learned to make paper. With the invention of paper and a new form of writing, the spread of knowledge became easier. Paper was used for medical and religious texts, for keeping records, for artwork, or for mathematical studies, perhaps in connection with pyramid building. One of the great centers of learning was the city of Thebes, for centuries the capital of ancient Egypt, and noted for its fine architecture. Almost all the massive stone buildings of Egypt were either temples or tombs. One of the largest was the Temple of Karnak. Religion was the driving force behind the growth of civilization in Egypt, a fact that is strongly reflected in Egyptian art. Statues of god kings and other religious sculptures adorn the temple courtyards. The pillars and the walls of all the buildings are carved with scenes that glorify many different deities, testifying to the reverence in which the Egyptian gods were held. A Greek philosopher once said of the Egyptians, "They are beyond measure religious, more than any other nation." Their greatest preoccupation was with the notion of life after death. In a valley near the city of Thebes, called the Valley of Kings, lie buried many of Egypt's most famous monarchs or pharaohs, with names like Ramses, Seti, and Tutankhamun. In these tombs, many fine works of art have been found. To keep them contented in the afterworld, the pharaohs were buried with objects familiar during life on earth. Caskets from their palaces, models of their boats, of plowmen, of their soldiers, their carpenters, and the herdsmen with their cattle. There are statues of servants and the gods they worshipped, which sometimes took the form of birds, fish, or animals. The pharaohs themselves were looked upon as gods, and their lives were lived accordingly. In a model of a pharaoh's palace, the grandeur of royal life is recaptured. Huge columns support a painted wooden roof. The walls were profusely decorated with scenes relating to the life of the god king. The artwork has a religious style, which over a period of nearly 3,000 years was little altered. Though only the pharaohs lived in luxury, other homes were solid and comfortable, made of mud, as are many in Egypt even today. Around the house were special yards for the animals and the granaries. And there were gardens with trees, pools, and a summer house. In the ruins of such a house have been found paintings that tell of daily activities. Herdsmen driving their cattle to water. A hunter in the marshes using a cat to retrieve his birds. The charioteers of the rich with their fiery stallions, and evidence of gay parties at which elegant ladies were served by slave girls as they listened to the music of the lyre and harp. Paintings such as these and the 1,001 other objects that together tell us what life was like in ancient Egypt would never have come to light but for the work of archaeologists. Throughout Egypt, digging goes on constantly in the search for new evidence that will broaden our knowledge of the past, for many secrets still lie hidden beneath the earth. The culture of the pharaohs has strongly influenced all of the civilizations that have followed it. In art, medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and architecture, The Egyptians contributed much to the culture of ancient Greece, which in turn was responsible for the spread of civilization to Rome, and finally to modern Europe and America. The civilization that we know today then began 5,000 years ago along the banks of the Nile in the ancient land of Egypt. Indeed, the very cradle of civilization.
Okay, we're going to go underground. This is Cave Ecology. Enjoy.
Until a light is turned on. As we go back in this cave, it becomes quiet. The air gets cooler and feels damp. It is damp, dark, and cool in here all the time, winter or summer. In fact, the temperature seldom changes over 1 degree. Why doesn't it get hot in the summer or cold in the winter? This cave is insulated from temperature changes outside. The layers of rock and soil above the cave don't let heat pass through. It is damp here because water seeps down through the layers of soil and rock, but is not removed by drying winds. With a constant temperature, no winds, no rain, no snow, and enough water, you would expect to find plants and animals living here. This cave is the home of different living things called organisms. These organisms live together in a group called a community. A cave is a very good place to community of living things because it is small and simple. It is not affected much by changes in weather, and it is closed off from the rest of the world. But the things that scientists learn from studying a simple cave community help them understand the more complicated communities in forests, grasslands, lakes, and other places. Both the individual organisms and the community in this cave differ from organisms and communities outside. Why might they be different? In what ways might they be different? These are some of the living things found in the forest above the cave. Compare these organisms with those found in the cave. How do they differ? Are the organisms in the forest or in the cave larger? Are there any large green plants in the cave? Here are several pairs of animals. One animal from each pair lives in this cave. The other related animal lives in the forest above. How does the color of cave animals differ from the color of similar forest animals? Most cave animals have very small eyes or no eyes at all. Remember, we are seeing these animals under bright lights. They normally spend their whole lives in total darkness. How do they find their way in the dark? Many cave animals do have large antennae or feelers. How might these help them move about and find food? The animals living in this cave are different from the animals living outside. The cave animals are smaller. There are not so many different kinds of them, and there are not very many of each kind. Why aren't there many animals? And why are they small? All organisms must have energy in order to live and grow. Some animals get their energy from eating other animals, and the animals they eat get their energy from green plants. Green plants, in turn, get their energy from sunlight. So, if there is no light inside this cave, there can't be any green plants. Then, where do the organisms in a cave get their energy? They must get it from food coming in from the outside. But how does it get in? A small stream runs through the cave. Maybe food, in the form of organisms, pieces of organisms, or their wastes, are get in by the stream. How could we find out if energy gets in this way? We can take a sample of the water and look at it carefully to see if there is any food in it. Although there are no large pieces of plants or animals in the water, do you think there might be tiny organisms or pieces of organisms in it that we can't see without using a microscope? A careful look at our water sample with the microscope shows that there is very little food material in it. Does this mean that there is never very much food in the stream? When might there be more in the water? How else might food get into the cave? A few of the cave animals, such as crickets, may go outside to get some of their food. Bats go outside the cave to get all of their food. They fly out when it begins to get dark. They feed on insects flying around outside. They then come back into the cave before it gets light. How could bats provide food for the other organisms in the cave? The other cave organisms are too small to kill and eat bats. Once in a while, bats die, and their bodies become food for other organisms. Most of the food for other organisms, however, is provided by bat wastes or dung, which drops on the cave floor or in the water. The bat droppings, or wastes, provide energy for many living things. Millipedes, cave crickets, amphipods, and isopods. These animals may use the bat dung directly as food. When they eat the dung, they also eat tiny organisms living in it, such as one-celled bacteria, seen here through a microscope. Molds, with thread-like bodies, look like small tufts of hair growing out of the bat droppings. Some of the molds form mushrooms and toadstools. Both bacteria and molds put out chemicals that decompose or break down the bat dung into simpler materials. The bacteria and molds then take up these simple materials into their bodies and grow. Some small animals feed only on the growing bacteria and molds, but most eat whatever food is available. Unlike animals outside, cave animals are not very particular about what they eat. All the animals that eat either the dung or the bacteria and molds are in turn eaten by predators or meat-eating animals. The animals that feed on the dung are small, and there aren't very many of them. So they don't supply much food for the predators. For this reason, there aren't many predators in a cave, and they aren't very big. Except for bats, the largest predators in this cave are blind cave salamanders. In certain other caves, the largest predators are blind cavefish and cave crayfish. These cave predators are only 4 or 5 inches long. Each organism plays a special part in the food relations in a community. One kind of organism depends upon another for food. These food relations in a community can be shown by drawing lines between the organisms and their food supply. Even in this simple cave community, these lines form a complex web. This is called a food web. If all of one kind of organism in this food web were killed or removed, what would probably happen to the other organisms? There are so few individuals of each kind of animal in a cave that removal of only 1 or 2 animals might upset the entire community. Why? What might happen to the organisms if the stream were to dry up, or if the cave were to be changed in other ways? This cave community depends upon food materials brought in from the outside in the form of bat wastes or dung, by crickets, or as small pieces of plant and animal material washed in by the stream. Bacteria, molds, and small animals get their energy from this material. Other animals feed on the bacteria, molds, and dung-eating animals. What would happen if the supply of material from the outside got smaller or stopped coming in? In some ways, the whole world is like a cave. Both the earth and a cave get just so much energy from the outside. In the case of the earth, the energy is in the form of sunlight. All the living things on earth depend upon this light energy. Many things that man does put small particles into the air. They can cut down on the amount of light that reaches the earth. How might this affect all life on earth?
Yeah, we have different versions of this same type of film, which there is one called Cave Community that we watched about a year ago or something. So, okay, what do we got here? The Wonderful World of Kim Sung-hee. Enjoy.
My name is Kim Sung-hee. It is an honor to introduce you to my world. The world of Kim Sung-hee is a magic world, tuned to the tempo of an earlier time, before Korea became Korea. when performers of the ancient kingdom of Goryeo delighted guests at the palace with their talented grace. Only now, we dance not for the royal court, we dance for all the people of Korea, that they may share in the majesty of their rich heritage. Ancient music and dance give wings to history, to the long, proud, sometimes sad, yet always colorful story of my people. But when curtain falls, see how eagerly the dancers rush back to present day, back to the wonderful world of here and now. Sometimes, for my friends and me, it is hard to believe. Is it really true? Is Kim Song-hee really here at National Theatre in Seoul, home of the very best in all performing arts? In serenity of nature, it is time to reflect, to remember the way it came to be. When I was a little girl, my mother said, "To become a dancer is very hard, but when you are 8 years old, a dream is not easy to put aside." My grandfather used to take me often to mass dance, held in village where we live. Mass dance is very old, very popular, all over Korea. In old days, it gave the villagers a chance to poke fun at stupid or corrupt officials, while villagers are safe behind false faces. Each mask is very symbolic. One means evil, like bad monk. One means brave, like lion. Everybody knows what each mask means. It used to be the mass dance was the people's way to celebrate the new year or harvest season. Now it is part of a folk festival, competition to see which village has the best dancers. Of all Korean folk dances, the farmer's dance looks most free-spirited and exciting. Really quite subtle and complex. Used to be, at time of planting, time of harvest, the rural people gathered to offer prayers or give thanks. The farmer's dance was a welcome release from long hours in the field in those days. In these days, the farmer's dance is the most enthusiastically applauded of all when the national company go on tour of the world. It speaks to all who see it of the creativity and vigor of my land. dancing was not for me. When I was a little girl, my dream was to master the subtle and difficult movements of the court dance. The court dance was traditionally performed on the occasion of a royal banquet. Like all Korean dance, it places emphasis on the shoulder and delicate movement, including the quiet moments for spiritual feelings expressed in stillnesses. This dance, Chun Eng Jun, Nightingale Singing in Springtime, is from the Yi Dynasty, 400 or 500 years ago. The brilliant yellow of dancer's gown is symbolic of nightingale. Glowing robes of the musicians, color of kings, royal red. Everything has a meaning. Even the mat under the dancer's feet signifies carpet of flowers. Unity with nature is a prevailing theme of all art in my country. The conductor stands at the rear, setting tempo with the bak. Court music, called aak, uses native Korean instruments. The jango, the piri, and the haegum.
The music of Korea had its beginnings in the rituals of Confucianism. But the historical music was augmented and changed over the centuries to meet Korean tastes. When Korea became a republic, the old ways of the dynasties were discarded. Still, the traditional music, while no longer associated with the ancient ceremonies, was preserved as a valued jewel in a cultural heritage. Under the auspices of the National Music Institute, small, intimate groups such as this, as well as the type of larger, more formal orchestras once heard only within palace walls, continue to evoke a unique image of the universe. For, to a Korean, music expressed the accord of heaven and earth, the harmony between man and cosmos. When soloist Kim Jung-soo lifts his daegum, a native Korean flute, to his lips, its sound calls forth a song of autumn, of that quiet, wistful moment when the beauties of summer draw to a close and both man and nature mourn. Not all the songs of traditional Korea are instrumental, of course, nor are they recreations of court music. the pansori singers have delighted the common folk since time immemorial with vivacious retellings of the nation's favorite tales. This is Korea's most beloved romance, with the artist taking all the parts, boy, girl, and anyone who momentarily comes between them, obstructing the course of true love. The romantic ballad figures as prominently in Korean traditional music as in the folk songs of any other nation, but it is given a distinctive Korean touch when accompanied by the delicate variety of tones from the gayagum. The gayagum, most Korean of all instruments, a legacy from the Gaya region which gave it its name. Gum, an instrument. Gayagum, the instrument of Gaya, invented about the time the Dark Ages were descending on Western civilization.
Instrument is very old. Dream is ever new. Like me, who once had a dream to dance in the National Theatre, young girls in the music class at middle school in Seoul now have dreamed to be concert gayagum artists someday. They practice, practice, practice.
알겠지? 그리고 왼손은 크게 해서 이 손은 작더라도 하나,
And like me, girls have one foot in the modern, upward striving world of Korea today, and one foot in the nostalgic, backward glancing world of the past. The performing arts in Korea, music, drama, dance, all have the same goal: to appreciate the new, remember well the old. And that, the best of two worlds, is what makes my world wonderful. Today, Kim Sung-hee, girl from humble village, dons garments of a princess. And in the secret garden of the royal palace, helps to bring time-honored beauty back to nature's setting where it belongs. Tonight, Kim Song-hee becomes a village maiden of long ago, when young girls of that time used to gather on the night of the full moon, January, August, and offer up their grace and beauty to the heavenly spirits. The stage of the National Theatre often resounds with jakbop, a Buddhist ritual dance based on memorial service for the deceased to ensure a safe and peaceful passage of the soul to paradise. It makes one feel good that she has accomplished this thing, that your mother was right. It can be. As for me, Kim Song-hee say it is good. It is good to be a part of the young, modern outlook which has transformed this ancient land. It is good to have one's dream come true, to pay homage to discipline and grace of nature with discipline and grace of one's own. It is a wonderful world.
All right, I like some drum footage. It was kind of tedious, but some of the performance footage I liked. All right, I'm not sure if I've shown these. I couldn't find it in my database of what we have seen so far, but here's why we should drive 55.
U.S. Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration explains.
In 1974, the Congress enacted the national 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, and there was a dramatic reduction in deaths the next year, something approaching 9,000 lives. The old adage that speed kills has proven to be absolutely correct.
Similar reductions in highway deaths have continued each year since 1974. The U.S. Department of Transportation attributes at least half of the fewer highway fatalities to 55. Meanwhile, General Benjamin O. Davis is the Department of Transportation spokesman on 55. He travels the country urging drivers to obey the speed limit.
55 represents the most dramatic safety turnaround this nation has ever experienced. Ever since we've had a state highway patrol anywhere in this country, the state highway patrolman has been trying to save lives on the highway. 55 has given him a program that will produce this life-saving feature.
But while the U.S. Department of Transportation is conducting a national campaign to encourage voluntary compliance with the speed limit, it's up to state police and highway patrols to enforce it. In the next report, we'll hear how an Oklahoma state trooper and his boss feel about 55. Ever since the national 55-mile-per-hour speed limit was adopted in 1974, state police and highway patrols have had the job of enforcing it. Oklahoma State Trooper Mike Grimes has been in the forefront in that effort.
I'm 100% for the 55 mile an hour. I feel that it, in the end, will save lives and save a lot of accidents. I'd a lot rather save one than have to go out here and work one.
Mike Grimes represents a widespread view among public safety officials, a view reinforced by his boss, Oklahoma Public Safety Commissioner Roger Webb.
I think traffic officers and safety officials have for years been aware of the fact that slower speeds can mean a reduction of accidents and fatalities on our highways. So it's not a matter of convincing the traffic officers that 55 is a good law. Our problem is convincing the public, trying to encourage the public on an individual basis that it's to their advantage to drive the speed limit.
The U.S. Department of Transportation estimates that 36,000 lives have been saved since the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit was adopted in 1974. At least half can be directly attributed to lower speeds. In the next report, we'll hear from a doctor who believes it's also reducing crippling injuries. Since the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit was adopted in 1974, the U.S. Department of Transportation estimates that 36,000 lives have been saved. At least half can be directly attributed to lower speeds. But not all accident victims die. Some survive the crash and are permanently paralyzed. Dr. Samuel Horenstein, chief neurologist at Jefferson Barracks Hospital in St. Louis, says the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit also reduces crippling injuries.
Last year, there was not only a reduction in the total number of injuries which came to our hospital, but the proportion of those who had been injured in automobile accidents had dropped to approximately 50%. Nothing else around here has changed. The people are the same, the amount of driving is the same, there have been no major changes in industry. There has been no basic change in the construction of automobiles. The people are just as negligent in using seat belts as ever. Yet the single factor has been the reduction in the speed limit, and with that, there has been a reduction in the total number of injuries and in the severity of the injuries that we have been seeing.
Support for 55 also comes from a source that would seem to have the most to lose from it, the trucking industry. More about that in our next report.
Yeah, so I'm baffled by that. It doesn't have. It's like the length. Each segment is the length of a PSA, but there's none of the things that kind of contribute to. There's no graphics that appear on there that give more information or what this is, and so I don't know what this is. Like, is it a TV show where there's like breaks in between? Like, I don't know what it is. It's a very strange thing. So it baffles me. But thanks for watching this week. I very much appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting me and finding me. I know many of you have stumbled across the new channel, which I hope is going to be temporary. I pinged YouTube again today. They were supposed to get back to me like on Tuesday, and they have not. And so it's very frustrating to see, like, the funny thing is that I have scheduled videos showing up, and so they show up live, but all the other videos have been made private by the hijacker, and I was expecting to get some sort of email or some sort of communication saying that, we've got control of your channel, we'll give it back to you if you send us like $10,000 or whatever, but I don't know what's going on, but YouTube is taking their sweet ass time, and it's very frustrating. Like, I listed this, it happened, and within 30 minutes I had listed this like last Friday, and nothing has happened. But the great thing is that you guys found me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your support, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. So I'm going to be in Santa Fe next week, all week, with my family. So we'll try to do some shows. They probably will be pre-recorded. It depends on what the internet is like there at the Airbnb that we're staying at. So we'll see. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you soon. Love you guys very much, and we'll see you